I am your host, John Burke. It is a beautiful day down here in Richardson, Texas. It doesn't feel like Satan's asshole for once. Fall is set. The leaves are falling, and we've got with us one of the rare people out there that openly claims to be a dictator on social media, and I fucking love it. I absolutely love it. We have Jessica Harlow. We've been wanting to coordinate this interview for a very long time, and I finally, I just started bugging you. Come on the show, because you're a very busy person.
Yeah, it's not easy being a dictator.
How do you make time for it? I know that you're big into fashion, you're big into politics, you're in social media, you got a lot of balls in the air, no pun intended. How do you make time for being such a very loving and caring dictator?
I'm a very benevolent dictator. Listen, it's all about prioritization. I always make time to talk shit on the internet.
So for people that don't know you, where did you get your start at? Because I don't even know how you and I started following each other on social media. You posted something and I saw a blue check. I was like, who is this? And I look at what you posted. It's okay, I like her. She's got some depth. I like this. And she doesn't fucking care.
Thanks. Well, I started out doing makeup tutorials on YouTube when I was 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I was an influencer, I guess, for about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was. And then the COVID stuff happened and it just made me rethink everything. I kind of wanted to get out of it and I just didn't really have the opportunity to leave, you know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
it was just keep going, but everything kind of came to a standstill. So it gave me the chance to be well, here's my exit.
Mm-hmm.
So
what made you want to do that?
it just got to be so phony, and it was a lot of ass kissing, and I'm not really good at ass kissing.
You don't say.
I wish I was. I wish I didn't have integrity. I would be so rich. But unfortunately I do.
You're also from New York.
Yeah, but original New York, not New York now.
Yeah, the Trump era New York where hey, go fuck yourself. Watch it, I'm walking here.
Yes, that's who I am basically. That's what I grew up with. So I just couldn't stand the ass kissing. I couldn't stand how fake everything was.
Mm-hmm.
And then politics would come into it, especially with the COVID stuff happening. And it was just I realized how much was a lie and how much was just smoke and mirrors. And it just made me want to be this is not something that I really want to participate in. Because are these the people that I want to surround myself with?
Mm-hmm.
And the more successful you get and the more of these people you surround yourself with, it's really they're pushing of one side of the coin a lot. And I'm
were you anyway political prior to COVID? Were you in that sphere
not really.
At all?
Not really. And I was always very kind of middle of the road. I didn't consider myself either or, but if you had asked me pre-COVID what I was, I would probably say a Democrat, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't until, but everything with COVID just flipped everything upside down. And the party that was all about love and tolerance is suddenly not. You have to be careful with what you're saying. And I was noticing shades of that happening pre-COVID for
Mm-hmm.
maybe about a few years before that. Once they started with the trans stuff, and at first I was okay, I get that some people feel differently. I'm not going to hate somebody for it. Maybe there's something we can understand here. But it started going a bit too far.
Yeah.
And I was telling people years ago, I was they're going to turn this into pedophilia is normal. And people thought I was nuts. And I was what's to stop someone? Where are we going to draw the line? And things weren't even that crazy yet. And I was saying, where is this leading to? And that's something that Democrats don't really do. They don't really think about what's next. And there's
Mm-hmm.
always a next. So, they keep screaming for progress. And I'm just where are the lines?
Mm-hmm. No, it's funny you say that. I said the exact same thing. I was on the heels of this transgender issue, that's when they're going to, or at least pedophiles are going to make their attempt to become a minority within the LGBT. And that's why I see the LGBT is losing ground. People are saying, no, I don't support the organization anymore. It's when you sit there and you as a group, as a whole, as a community, don't stand up and speak out against the grooming of children, the attempts of the MAPS, minor attracted people, whatever they want to call these fruitcakes now.
Yeah.
When you include them into your organization, then your organization needs to burn. Anyone that attaches themselves to pedophiles, then no, and I don't care what your colors are. I don't care if you fly the rainbow flag.
Yeah, I don't care either. And I've noticed a lot of people that I know who are gay and they're in the LGBT umbrella. A lot of them are just saying wait a minute, we did not, we didn't sign up for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, then there's the other argument, because like I have heard this argument and I agree with it, where they're like, okay, if drag queens shouldn't be like necessarily involved with children, especially in like under a vulgar context. They're like, well, what about child beauty pageants? And I agree with that argument. I'm like,
absolutely.
I always thought that was beyond bizarre. Like John Benet Ramsey, I was like, what? I don't know how we're getting into this subject, but
no, I love it. It's a good point.
I remember thinking to myself, because I was obsessed with that story, and I was like, these people came from means. They weren't like the country bumpkins who didn't have like 2 nickels to rub together, and they're like, well, we have a cute child, let's like try to make some money here. We're talking, these people had means. They were at the time considered like upper middle class at least. They don't put their kids in pageants. A lot of it is because, I mean, who are the people in this audience? Like, who are they parading their child around for? So I've heard that argument, and I agree with that as well. I'm like, I think that's wrong too. It's it's sexualization of children. And I think it's disgusting.
I agree with you 100%. And I think that people on the opposing side, when they try and do a whataboutism with well, trans kids, well, what about child beauty pageants? Like, whoa, let's focus on one issue at a time. But I will agree with them and say, yeah, you're right. Child beauty pageants are sexualizing children. And also, let's take it a step further. Let's say, like, look, we're teaching these children from a very young age that beauty is a competition. That you can place first in any kind of competition based upon something that God gave you and that you didn't earn personally whatsoever. So when I see the left try and use this as a gotcha moment, it's like, that's not a gotcha moment. And also, the things that people wake up to have become normalized. Like our entire life, child beauty pageant, especially down here in Texas, it's everywhere. But then you kind of take a step back and say, wait a minute, we've been conditioned to think this is normal. This is not normal, and this is not right.
Yeah, you start tracing back to other things that just kind of went over your head. Like the drag queen stuff is probably more in our face because there's a lot of vulgarity. I mean, that pageant or what, not pageant, they brought the kids to a club and like there was a sign in the back that said it's not going to lick itself. It's like that just makes it like beyond obvious. But there's a lot of things that I think we did like overlook in the past, and that we kind of were like, how did we even let this happen? Who thought this was normal? No one said anything. We just accepted it. So, but that's the thing with progress. It's like, that's why it's when you allow something, it's like, what else is going to be the next step? Nothing really stops until you say this is the line.
Yeah, exactly. And I see that with the transgender issue. It's like, okay, so if we're going to allow men to become women, women to become men, and I can easily say it now, we see pedophilia, and I'm pretty sure, it's definitely not going to stop there, but what's next? Like, what is the next step? Because it just seems like the more that we go down this woke rabbit hole of insanity, it's all sex-based. It's all sex-based, and it's like, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. And I'm more libertarian. I'm like center of the road. It's kind of like, do what you want to do. I just don't want to pay for it. But that's not the case. That's clearly not the case.
That's more of my like actual political stance technically is more libertarian. Like I don't go super right on some issues. Like it's like I'm not left enough for some and I'm not conservative enough for others. But yeah, it's a circus.
When you made the transition, no pun intended, and if you did make the transition, well done. You look quality. You look real. Good for you. Geez, I'm talking to a New Yorker, and I grew up in New York. I have family in Staten Island. I would spend summers in Staten Island, Toms River, New Jersey.
Oh, no wonder we get along so well.
I love New York. New York gets a bad rap because everybody is kind of like, oh, they're so rude up there. It's like, yeah, if you're a prick. It's like, but there have been so many times I'll be downtown Manhattan looking for something, looking like a tourist. Someone's like, hey, you need some help? I'm like, well, you gonna mug me? Like, no, I'll help you. It's like, holy shit. Just don't go on the subways.
It's a shock.
Yeah, it is. It is. But when you made the transition away from being the beauty influencer into what you're doing now, I imagine you lost a lot of followers. You lost a lot of friends.
I lost a lot of followers at some point, but then I was also gaining a lot of people as well. So it was more of like a quality versus quantity. I kind of felt like I want only people who, even if they disagree with me, they can respect it. Or I want people who actually have common sense to be following me, to be honest. I'm like, I don't really,
That's a tall order.
Maybe from like a making money perspective, it's better to have people that don't have too much common sense. I mean, that's how most businesses are afloat these days, right? The most ridiculous shit that people make billions off of. But I was just like, I would rather have quality people over just like some fucking vanity metric that doesn't doesn't really mean anything. Like I want people who are actually open-minded enough to hear things that they might not agree with, open-minded enough to think about what I'm saying, or they're on board and they're already like, this is what they think. So I did lose from there. Friendship wise, not so much, more so like within like the beauty industry, that sort of thing. Yeah, there were some breaks there, but not money, to be honest.
That's good. Did
like
you lose any deals?
Once, but it wasn't a big deal.
Okay. So what are you doing now?
Now, well, basically I had invested pre like the pandemic and everything. So that worked out okay. It's given me a nice cushion. I'm not like, rolling in money by any means, but it's been fine. I was coming out with like ebooks and talking about like manifestation, things like that. So that was helping everything kind of transition where I didn't feel so desperate that I needed to have, brand deals and things. So now I'm kind of just working on like the next phase, because I definitely don't want to sit and be like having to depend on sponsors anymore, having to be that concerned with, social media and Instagram, etc.
Do you think in the future, and this is, you're an influencer as well, like, do you see in the future people are going to start pulling away from social media due to the levels of toxicity that it currently just continuously grow within it?
I think so. I've noticed a lot more people stepping back. I noticed a lot more people changing how they're using social media, how often they're using it, what they're sharing. I think it's just become such, especially over the last few years where people were kind of like stuck at home more. I think like everybody's just kind of had enough of it. Yeah. In a way. It
seems like it's only getting worse. It seems like the demonization of each side is only growing louder and louder. Yeah. But I definitely see the left has just doubled down. I've said this multiple times on previous shows or previous podcasts, but it's like the DNC has allowed the extremists within their organization, within their movement, such as Antifa, the MAPS, the grooming of children, they're letting them, and they are certainly not the majority in the DNC. You still have majority moderate Democrats are basically the majority in the DNC, but it seems like these insane groups are now taking control and the left is sinking fast. Like the DNC, it seems like the progressive moderates, if you can call them that, are kind of like, okay, what the hell has our party become? And they're starting to say, you know what, center or right, like this is just too much. Do you see that?
Yeah, I am seeing that. I mean, I'm seeing people who I remember years ago were a lot more left and remained left even during all of the, restrictions and things. And I'm seeing them now more so like understanding it and getting it and starting to realize like this is not the party for us. I think like I remember a priest told me this once and I found it to be very interesting coming from a priest, but he's like, sometimes you have to give people enough rope and they'll hang themselves. Yeah. And I think that's what's been going on. I think they also have, you don't really need to do too much to screw that side or that party. You just kind of need to leave them alone because they end up eating each other. Yeah. And I think a lot of them are starting to realize that things have gotten so far beyond out of hand that they're next. Like if they haven't gotten to you yet, you're next.
Yeah, it's kind of like this woke monster you've created. They have no boundaries. If you look at Antifa, they'll go after anybody. And this is the thing.
Remember Antifa? How are they doing? We haven't heard from them in a while. I have a feeling we will.
They're still up in Portland. They're doing their thing. Like Trump said he was going to make them a terrorist organization. That didn't happen. It's like these people inflict violence to further a political cause, yet they blame the right for that. And it's kind of like, okay, what's going on here? But
I mean, it was so bizarre what was going on during the, peaceful protests. And that's the thing. See, so many people are so scared of speaking out because they're like, oh, they're going to call me transphobic. They're going to call me racist. They're going to call me whatever. It's like, who cares what they call you? Their words have no meaning. They change them all the time.
It's funny you say that. I was thinking about that today. Yeah. I was thinking about that today to where it's kind of like, if I disagree with transgenderism, or for example, I follow this gym dude on the thing, and he calls out these fake fitness influencers. But anyway, this guy he's going after was asked a question. He said, what would you rather have to deal with, a daughter that's an ethot or a gay son? And the guy's like, oh, why are you going to put me in this situation? And this gym guy's going after, like, why are you so homophobic? It's like, wait a minute. What's wrong with a father not wanting his son to be gay? It doesn't mean you're going to hate him if he's gay. It certainly doesn't mean you're going to like regret him, but it's kind of like, but would we say the same thing if, say, for example, a father wants his son to be gay? Well, then now you're hating on straight people. What's wrong with being straight? So it's like you can't have two sides of this coin and only argue one side. And I see this continuously on the left to where it's kind of like, well, you're a homophobe, you're a transphobe. It's like phobia means denotes the fear of. You keep using these words out of context and they have no meaning, like you just said. Like, who cares what they call you?
I agree. But I mean, I think it's also how people articulate things, because it's just like, in my opinion, if somebody were to say, oh, I wouldn't want my son to be gay or something. Not that I have anything against gay people. I mean, I think it's just, I mean, we can't have a world where everybody is gay. And I love gays. I love gays. I have no problem with the transgender people. Like, you know, the ones who are really just doing their thing. They're not trying to bother anybody or whatever. I have no problem with people like that. Whatever they want to do, as long as they're not like doing anything with children or hurting people. But we can't have a whole world full of just gay people or just transgenders, because I mean, how are we going to procreate? From a procreation,
I think in their mind they would say in vitro.
Yeah, yes, but
we're having all the gay babies.
I mean, it's just,
yeah,
it's not like, look, it doesn't sound like too bad. It must be a great party. But
I bet they're dressed very well.
They're dressed very well. Everything is very clean and neat and organized.
They're probably great at decorating, interior design, amazing musicals, can probably sing and dance.
Great music, great food.
I love how people like stop confirming these stereotypes. Go to a Broadway musical, a popular one. Almost every single male actor is fucking gay.
If the stereotypes are positive, who gives a fuck?
Like, wait a minute.
Do you think I care if somebody stereotypes me positively?
Women cannot drive. No, I'm playing. I'm playing. No, I'm not. But I'm totally playing. No, I agree. I agree with you. Stereotypes exist from a kernel of truth.
Yes, there is some truth to basically all the stereotypes. I'm Greek. The stereotypes for Greek people, very true. I'm not saying 100. I do.
And you're Italian though, too, right?
No, I'm just Greek.
You're just straight Greek.
Yes. Where'd you get Italian from?
I don't know. You come off as Italian. You're just very fucking like bafangul. I don't know.
Greeks are very similar.
This is true. This is actually very true. That's a good
point.
Very
similar. We're very passionate people.
When was the last time you went to Greece?
Too long ago. I wanted to go this year, but I've heard it's really like, it's not the Greece that it used to be. It's like, unless you're really going to like very nice locations, it's like, it's crap. But I also don't like, I do, but like nobody really talks to each other. I got to be honest with you. I really hate Greek people. And as a Greek, I could say that.
Let's fucking say it.
Because you know what the thing is? Everybody thinks, I'm going to let people in on a secret, and there's going to be a lot of Greeks, because actually,
this is going to be good. Hang on, folks.
If you sit down with some Greeks, they will tell you that the worst people they know are actually Greek. And the thing is, it's like, I could say this again because I'm Greek, so it's like fine. But honestly, if somebody else said it, I would agree. But like Greek people, that everybody has this thing of like, oh, you know, they're so nice, they're so warm, they're so welcoming. No, the fuck they're not. Go to Greece, go sit down with Greek people, go visit their home broke. And I will tell you, you will have a very, very different experience. They are really not what you think. Not what you think.
I've been to Greece, and I don't remember off the top of my head because I kind of did my own thing. I was doing a lot of touristy shit, but I never interacted really. I was gonna say with the local wildlife. I never really interacted very much with the local populace. I was busy. It's like I wanted to see all this historic stuff. So now I don't remember.
They'll be nice to your face, but they will say things behind your back that you. Oh my God. No, they're really not. They're not.
Now you sound Italian again. Now you sound like an Italian family. Like you see your fucking aunt. You see what you wore to the thing? This fucking slut. What? No wonder she can't find a guy. She keeps dressing like a fucking whore. Jesus.
No, it's not whore. It's hua.
Hua. A fucking
hua.
A hua.
That's how I was raised. My mother spoke like that. A lot of people think my mom's Italian, but she's kind of like because she looks like Cher. But if you took Cher and Tony Soprano and they had a kid, it would be my mother.
I don't know how to feel about that. Cher's very attractive, very talented, stupid as a box of fucking rocks. But yeah, Tony Soprano, he was no catch. But even still, that would be an interesting combo to see.
But like her attitude is full blown Tony Soprano.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. So
is it true that Greek women are hairy?
Yeah, they are.
Okay, because I see a lot of comments in my Rumble chat. There's like Greek women have the best mustaches.
We do. And we work very hard and tirelessly to not have them. because but if I was a liberal, I could let it just
Absolutely. You
could
could
let
let
it
that
just
shit grow and
grow.
they'll praise you for it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like underarm hair. It's all so gross.
I want to ask you a question, and I don't think this is too personal, but what's the dating world like up there in New York where you're at? Are you currently dating anybody, or what's that like for you up there?
I'm dating.
Okay.
I haven't had any issues with dating. I don't
Really?
know. Well, look at me. But also it's my
Oh my God. She's honest, folks. I'll give this to her. This is why I like her. She's fucking honest.
well,
I
people,
appreciate that. Have you seen me? I would fuck me.
I would, and I do. But listen, the thing is,
We're gonna have you as a regular on this show. Oh my God.
anytime. But it's also, I feel like my personality really does me a lot of favors because people really feel like I don't listen. You know what I think is very rare? Finding women in New York who are normal.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know if I would say I'm like normal, but compared to, look, my hair is not blue. I no hair below the eyebrows. And I have common sense.
You're like the traditional woman, and not in a bad way. You're just like, you're a woman that embraces her femininity. She understands that. And, you know, I'm dating someone who's very similar. She is very feminine, very focused on fashion, very into how she feels, how she looks, taking care of herself. Whole new thing for me, because in the dating world, you know, in my mind, it's like you want to empower women. They're your equal, yeah. But hers kind of like, no, I want to be with you, but I'm your woman. You take care of me. It's like,
I think a lot of women don't have the balls to say that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in New York especially, because look, you can't be an idiot of a woman in New York. Like you have to figure out how to, you know, make things work for you. So there is going to be, you have to tap into your masculinity too.
Yeah.
But a lot of women, I think, go into dating and they lead with their dick.
Mm-hmm.
Like they go in with like their career and their accomplishments. I talk about literally nothing. I don't think it's relevant.
Do you think it's a flip-flop? Like you have to be that type of person when you're in the dating scene because number one, you do have to pay your own bills. You do have to take care of yourself. But then when you find that man that you click with, then his masculinity allows you to embrace and exemplify your femininity?
Yeah. If I feel like I need to be in my masculine with a man, it's just like, that's not the guy for me. He's probably a Democrat, first of all. Like, so, I mean, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work.
I've got so many good sound bites from the show already. I'm going to fucking love this.
No, well, I'm just saying, it's just, a lot of women, I feel like they go with the empowerment, and it's like, it's fine to be empowered in like your personal life, your work life, whatever you need to do. But like when you're with a man, you should just be able to just be a woman and just be a girl and let him lead.
What does that mean to you as far as be a woman?
Be a woman means like, listen more than you speak. Let him talk.
And I'm going to counter that though. Now I'm going to counter that though. What if you got a stupid man? And then I could counter that with then you're dating the wrong man.
Yeah, again, then it's like you should find them interesting.
Mm-hmm. And then vice versa as well. Like women, you know, I've been seeing a lot of this stuff on TikTok especially, which is fucking cancer. TikTok is just Jesus Christ. But there's been this push now for masculine men to take back masculinity. Well, you and I were talking before the show about Andrew Tate, people such as him who might go a little overboard in certain areas, but I think his message overall is like there's nothing wrong with being masculine. There's nothing wrong with being a manly man because women actually do want that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't follow Andrew Tate, so I don't know like his whole like library of what he said. So I probably don't agree with all of it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, just from if we were to take that kind of nugget out of it and just be like masculinity, I mean, that's what there's a war on pretty much right now. It's like, if you look at even the guys that they promote a lot, let's say in Hollywood, because that's where, if you look at Hollywood, the people who make it, it's not really so much of an accident. Like there's some people that are successful, but like they won't get, let's say, the same kind of hype around them, the same kind of, you know, media push. The ones that get the media push, a lot of the times they're kind of like emasculated. Like we have like people like Harry Styles.
I was literally about to say Harry Styles has been accused of queer baiting and
Timothy Chalamet or whatever. It's like, who in their right mind would bang either of these guys? Like, I don't understand it. They're not very masculine. They're very feminine men in a way. I mean,
women.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, why is that being promoted? And then on the other hand, look at the women that get promoted so much. It's like women who they're leading with their masculine. You might think that they're leading with their bodies and like Kim Kardashian, etc. it's like, yeah, but there's also kind of a masculinity to that.
Yeah.
It's like they're not really, they're exploiting. Most men anyway, if they were good looking women, they would be doing what Kim Kardashian is doing.
Oh, fuck
Put
yeah.
it that way.
Yeah,
Put it that
absolutely,
way.
yeah.
So that means it's actually masculine. It's not really feminine.
It's interesting that you make that point, though, because I see women, they make this argument of, we have to be very masculine to make it in this man's world. And it's like, well, let's break that down then. What does making it mean to you? Because if we're going to talk about as a society making it, then the next time you drive by some road construction workers or electrical repair line workers, find out how many women are in that crew. What does making it mean? Because making it as a society means you actually got to pull the shit jobs as well when it comes to manual labor. I've worked manual labor. It's not fun, especially in Texas heat. Didn't see any women, not a one. And they had the ability to.
Because they're not stupid. They're just lying.
No, I think women definitely bring it. That's why I think feminism didn't necessarily define it accurately, that men and women are definitely not the same. We are not equal. We are different in many.
I used to get shit about that all the time.
We're different in so many ways, but that's the kind of like the yin and yang. It's like where men are masculine and very disciplined, very hard-nosed and emotionalist sometimes, women bring the opposite to balance out the man, and vice versa for the woman.
Look, both men and women have both in them. Mm-hmm. Everybody has masculine and feminine. No,
Hey-yo.
Both men and women have masculine and feminine in them. It's just like everybody's more, but it's like different. They bring out different sides of each other, and different things that they're doing bring out different aspects of them.
Yeah.
Like I said, a woman, if she's going to work, you're going to see more of a masculine side of her. But when she's at home with her family, her husband, her boyfriend, whoever, that's going to be more likely her feminine. And I've even asked this of like, of gay people that I know, gay couples. I'm like, do you have masculine and feminine like in your relationship? Is there someone who's more masculine, more feminine? And all of them have said absolutely.
Absolutely. You cannot have two aggressive gay dudes. You can't. No. It doesn't work. One of them has to. And there's jokes about it. The bottom bitch, the passive mother. That's the truth. You cannot have two masculine people, two alphas, for example. Two alphas usually do not. That's when they talk about like Trump and DeSantis running on a ticket. I was like, no, you cannot have two alphas. DeSantis is a fucking alpha. Trump's an alpha. They would bang heads.
I don't think they should be on a ticket together.
No.
It doesn't make any sense.
Mike Pence was a bitch. He was the passive. He was the bottom bitch. Trump was the alpha.
Yeah, I didn't like Mike Pence ever. So
I thought he was kind of I don't know.
I hated him.
What did you hate him?
He just sucked. Listen, I don't want to go into all of it, but I'm just saying I feel like Trump sometimes picks the worst people possible. He has a terrible picker, is all I have to say.
That and he doesn't know when to shut the fuck up sometimes.
No, because he has a very big ego, and that's my opinion.
New Yorker. That's the New Yorker coming out in him.
But that's also, I think, what makes DeSantis more appealing is DeSantis speaks when he needs to speak.
Yes.
He doesn't overstate anything. He says what's necessary, and he moves on and gets back to work. Trump, he likes the spotlight. He likes to talk. He's a Gemini. I mean, that's just how it goes.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go. I'm a Gemini.
That's why you talk so much.
I'm not playing this game. I dated this one girl who was so big into horoscopes. And literally, she would.
Did she ask your birth time?
Fuck yeah! She wanted to chart me. She wanted to talk to my mom about what time I was born. Now,
how soon did she ask you?
Within the first month, or within the first week. Within the first week.
She waited. Okay.
No, it was like right away, and she was like, "I don't take it that seriously, but I do need to know what time you were born and what day." I was like, "No, I'm not fucking playing."
It's necessary. I always make a joke. I'm like, if she hasn't asked you what time you were born, she's not that into you. But sometimes, but you know what the thing is? Like, I've stopped doing that lately because I'm just like, you know, what has it really taught me in the past? Basically nothing.
Exactly.
Not
it's called
much.
the Barnum effect. If you don't know basic psychology, it's called the Barnum effect.
Luck. I'm like, maybe it's bad luck to ask, so I stopped asking.
There were all these memes circulating around about when this dude is texting his dad or his mom saying, "Hey dad, what time," or "Mom, what time was I born?" And she instantly responds with, "Don't." It's like, "Leave her now, right now, leave her. She's not the one for you." It's like, bro, because I was like, "Oh, this is stupid." And then I dated two of them. It's like, "Oh no, there's truth to this." And then some people take it as doctrine. Like the alignment of the planets dictates how they're going to live their life. So if Mercury's in the Gatorade or whatever the fuck they call it, oh my God. And so the girl I dated.
I think about it. I take it into consideration, but I also am pretty practical. I'm balanced. Okay. I'm like,
That's fair.
Woo-woo, but I kind of mix it with some practical.
You're woo-woo? What is woo-woo?
Yeah. Woo-woo is like very spiritual and like,
okay. You're very woo-woo. At the Church of Woo-woo.
Yeah. I'm a
Jessica
little bit
Harlow's
woo-woo.
Jessica Harlow's Church of Woo Woo. I like this.
It's fun. Listen, it's not the gospel, but I mean, there is some truth to it.
Well, I just tell everybody if they do ask me about my sinus, I go, no, it's okay. I stuck a crystal up my ass before I talk to you. We're good. Like it counterbalances all of it. We're, Mercury retrograde. I'm just stuffing crystals nonstop up my ass.
That'll get you a liberal for sure. Because
absolutely.
They love to put things up their men's asses. I've been hearing this. They're the ones who peg.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's not just liberal. No, it's not just that. No. I follow this one account and it's so fucking funny. It's called TikTok Boots, and the term boot refers to the military of somebody who's newly enlisted. They're cherries, they're rookies. They say and do the dumbest shit. They show off the most. But on TikTok Boots, he's exposed. There's a lot of pegging that goes on in the military. When you read his comments, his messages, it's fucking nuts.
Different. The military. You can't judge what people are doing when there's no women around.
No. This is with women. This is not with men.
Oh, wait, hold on. So wait, in the military, women are pegging men?
Not just the military, but it definitely showed a side to where you have a lot of conservative men, hardcore alpha men in the military. And with TikTok Boots, I'm sitting there, and I talked to this dude. It's like, oh no, it's real. They DM me this shit all the time. Some of them will say this. They'll send pictures. I'm like, oh no shit. And now here's the thing. I don't care what you do in your sex life. Doesn't matter to me. The government shouldn't be involved. You want to go out there and stick a pine cone up your ass? I don't fucking care. Just I don't want to pay for it.
I mean, it's not hurting anybody.
Exactly.
Maybe the person where the pine cone is.
If that's what you're into, because I've dated women that love to be choked, spanked, bleed, wax. It doesn't bother me. It's like, if that's what you're into, I'm not going to judge you for it. I'll help you fulfill that fantasy because, again, that's what your sexual needs are. That's important. If it involves gerbils, I'm probably not so much, but,
So gerbils and live animals, is that where you draw the line?
That's where I draw the line.
Well, that's good. That's a good line.
Did the gerbil piss on my floor or shit on my floor? Like, if it did, then okay, you're going up somebody's ass. Then you had it coming. But no, I'm just.
There's a lot of hospital visits that happen from that, I've heard.
I don't doubt that. But no, watching TikTok Boots and stuff like this, there's a lot of sexual promiscuity that is behind closed doors, but it does occur. And I was like, interesting.
Really? I thought it was a lot of liberal women pegging their men because these betas, I mean, they must bend over.
Nope. It's everywhere. And I also, because I'd had this discussion with somebody else, and she'd also told me that she was under the impression, and this blew my mind. I was also kind of offended. Like, I normally don't get offended, but that was kind of like, okay, I'm a little offended by this. But she was under the impression that when men in the military are on deployment and there's no women there, we fuck each other.
Yeah, I mean, I would, to be honest,
No, this doesn't happen. Where the fuck did this come from? This isn't Greece. This is not Sparta. What the fuck?
These stereotypes, there's truth to that.
There is truth to this. It's very true.
Most Greek men are bisexual.
Yeah, and even back in the day, they said Leonidas was also gay or bisexual. They would fuck each other. But no, I can tell you, I did 4.5 years in Iraq and Afghanistan. Not once did I hear or see or even do or see men fucking each other. Now, of course, there are gay people. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
But by and large, no, we don't fuck each other. We just jerk off to porn. That's
okay.
It. Yeah.
That's reassuring. But what about in prison?
Oh, I don't know. Probably, yeah.
Okay.
If there's like no way out and you're there for life, you probably are going to fuck men.
Okay.
That's all you got.
I would assume. Like, I'm just, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. I even had people in the comments say, nope, as a female Marine can confirm this doesn't happen. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know where that came from. Like, where the fuck did that stereotype originate from? Because that's like,
I don't know.
I
think it's just like logic, sort of.
Really?
Yeah, I think you're just like, well, if there's nothing,
I'm gonna stick with nothing because I'm not gay. I don't know. I don't want to fuck a dude.
But I forgot that there's like the option of porn. But I don't know. It's like, do people really want to replace porn actually with sex? I know a lot of people do.
Well, it depends on sex with what.
Well, does it matter?
Yes, absolutely it matters.
Okay. Listen, and everybody looks the same in the dark.
No, they don't. They certainly don't feel the same either. I will know the difference between a skinny chick and a fat chick in the dark. I can tell.
I don't mean that. I mean,
because when you grab the fat chick's boobs, they go honka honka. It's different.
Okay.
That's a joke. That's a joke. No, but I'd heard these stereotypes. It's like, where does this come from? Oh, hey, you can get a free one. I don't know if they still run that promotion. You get a free one if you get the jab.
I don't know. I don't know if that still applies.
Did you get the jab?
No.
Why didn't you get the jab?
Because I have a brain. Like,
I'm just asking. I just want to hear why you personally get the jab. I didn't either. I'm all supportive of that.
Yeah, I didn't because it's just for what? For what?
Well, it makes the symptoms less. You're still going to get it, but apparently it just makes the symptoms a little bit less, even though that's bullshit.
Listen, I know people who should have died from COVID, allegedly, right? If whatever, given and they didn't. So why would I get something? And I researched so much about it and this whole like it being mRNA technology, because that's the thing. When this whole thing started, I was very pro-vaccine. And I thought, okay, I knew the scam immediately. Like when this all started, I was like,
really?
But they were saying.
You're talking about COVID or the vaccine?
Yeah, the COVID. But
okay.
like, because once they were saying, oh, there's this virus going around. And at very first, they were telling us that it was like, they were making it seem like it was like a 50-50 chance you can die from this, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, if it's something that's so deadly, of course they're going to make a vaccine. And I was like, they're going to make a vaccine and everybody's going to have to get it to be able to travel, to be able to go to, I don't know where I was getting this information from in my brain, but I was like, it's going to be for going to restaurants. It's going to be for doing absolutely anything.
You're on the money.
Yeah, but I was pro-vaccine and I was like, I'll just get it and move on. And then I started because I was on board with this propaganda for about 2-3 weeks. And then I started to really dig, because I had a friend of mine tell me that so-and-so was in the hospital, died of cancer. Their daughter died of cancer. And they wrote down that they died of COVID. There was never a test done or anything. And I was like, wait a minute. So the conspiracy theories that my mother's listening to, there's truth to that. And at that time, they still hadn't wiped the internet so much. So that's when I started digging. And I started realizing, holy crap, this is actually the numbers are not what the numbers are, because they're just labeling everything as a COVID death. There's money that's being given to the hospitals in favor of this. So of course they're incentivized to lie. So I was like, this is a whole big scam. So why would they want, and then they started talking about the vaccine. And I was like, so hold on, there's a scam going on, but you want this thing to be put into everybody's bodies. And there's a lot of pressure on it. I was like, 100% no.
Worldwide.
Does it, anything that's going to be given for free, anything that is the result of a problem that's not even really a problem, is a no from me. So that's when I started waking up really quickly and falling down the rabbit holes and learning way too much. And I was just, it's a no. I mean, there was a point where a lot of conspiracy theorists were afraid that they were going to come to your house with guns and force you to take this thing. And I was just like, I would rather die. I already made that decision. I would rather be shot than take it. And I was completely okay with it. And if it came down to that, even today, which I know just they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if that came to it, I was already I've made my decision.
It's when it first hit, the conspiracy theories were out of this world. It was very hard to differentiate between what was truth and what was fiction. But the problem that I've seen, though, is I've had many debates with people on the other side, and the commonality they all have is that they're always going to go back and reference what studies and scientists are showing. And the problem is that you don't have scientists on the left. You basically have scientists that are actually political activists, so they're going to skew the data to fit and conform to their political bias.
Well, and also, speaking of why I felt so against the vaccine, was because when they were having treatments that were coming out, and they were lying, because if you know how to read and understand how they got to certain results, because for example, with hydroxychloroquine, where they were like, well, the Lancet study says that it doesn't work, and actually people died. It's did you read what the study, what they actually did? Because they were waiting until a lot of these people were basically at death's door before giving them this medication. And on the other hand, they were also giving them way higher doses than they were supposed to get. If you take a higher dose of Tylenol, you can die.
Liver damage, absolutely.
Yeah, you can die. If you take enough, if you take too much of any medication, even the safest you can imagine, you can die. So, or you're going to have a bad reaction. This is common sense. But no, they just look at the headlines. And that's what I noticed was going on, is most people are just looking at the headlines. They're not reading the actual articles. They're not reading between the lines, because if you're smart enough, and you don't even have to be that smart, you can kind of gather what they're actually trying to say, but avoiding actually saying.
Yeah. Well, it's political. It's political talk.
Yeah, when you read mainstream articles, you can kind of see the manipulation if you know how to read between the lines. And I did not know that so many people really do not know how to read between the lines and understand what's the goal here?
You're dead on the money, but you came to that conclusion though because you'd seen the lies they consistently told you. You had some ability, so for me the thing is, and I'm not trying to sound like
I didn't
we're
think
plugged in
there
the
were
Matrix.
lies then. I didn't.
Exactly,
I believed the media back then.
But that's what I'm trying to ask you. At what point did that light go off in your head to say, "Wait a minute,
hydroxychloroquine was basically like
that was it for you?
That was the big red alarm where I was like, something is up.
Okay.
Like, and I'm certain that it's like, but it was also a number of other like little things here and there that all just came together. But that once I was like, oh, you guys aren't actually looking for a treatment. You want it to be like the solution is only a vaccine.
Which a vaccine that is from Pfizer, Moderna, places like that, and they are making trillions.
And it's mRNA. It's something that's never been used in humans long term. There's no long-term studies for it. And how
for me, it was like the logistical aspect of it, because I don't know how it was up there in New York. I imagine it was like, did you get locked down in New York?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I bet it was 10 times worse for y'all because y'all are you in the city?
I'm in Queens, so it was still bad because we're considered New York City.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is because for us here in Texas, where I'm living at, it's open. It ain't like New York. You have a city here, you have a city there, you got some highway in between. But when they did the lockdowns and they shut down all the mom and pop businesses and said, what corporations stayed open? Target, Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart. These mainstream corporations stayed open. And so rather than logistically funnel people to mom and pop shops and not just the main ones to let them disperse more, because you still got to get groceries, instead they filtered us, or they drove us like cattle into these 1 or 2 or 3 locations. Well, that makes them super spreader locations because even wearing a mask and 6-foot distancing. So I'm sitting there and I, coming from military background, that's how we were in the Army. It's like, well, don't question how we do it. It's just how we've always done it. It's like, that's the most retarded thing I've ever fucking heard. If there's a better way to do it, do that. So once you start thinking, it's like, this doesn't make sense. And then it's like, wait, why
and you weren't allowed to ask questions.
Bingo, because they fucking censored you. Any doctor that came out, we had people that work for us here at Shell Shock that went out and got all these alternative treatments, and it worked. You post about it, banned, medical misinformation. Yep. Bullshit.
Yep. And at the time with hydroxychloroquine, I knew someone who their father was given that, and it was like they were trying to throw the man on a vent. He was an older man. They were trying to throw him on a vent, and he was saying no, he didn't want to be put on a vent. They went to his wife. And the wife said, if he doesn't want to be put on the vent, I'm not going to make you guys put him on the vent. If he says no, then it's no for me also. Yeah. And then they gave him hydroxychloroquine, and he was out within like 24 hours.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And he was old, like an older man. Like I think he was like in his 70s or 80s.
And then the government
should have been somebody who died, right?
Yeah, and then the government stepped in and said, oh, we're not letting doctors issue it now. Yeah. Like, to me, I'm sorry. That's a tyrannical government because this government is responsible for the deaths.
Completely tyrannical. Everything about it was tyrannical. And when you're suddenly not allowed to ask and question authority. It's like we're in a cult now.
Yeah. Yeah, and the left doesn't realize it. The left doesn't even realize it's like the very same thing you're accusing the right of being. That's all you've done. Wear your mask, stay indoors, do your part, sing Imagine with Gal Gadot, like jerk yourself off to Tiger King, like doing all this shit in the COVID pandemic is ridiculous.
It's so cringe, and I don't know how they keep up with all of this because it's like every other week there was a new, current thing. There was a new thing to be outraged about. I'm like, don't you guys get tired? Like,
well, how else are they gonna tell the world how good they are?
Let me tell you something. Nobody gives that much of a shit about that many fucking things. Okay, like nobody does. We don't have the capacity.
I've been saying that for years.
We were not put on this earth to care that much about that many things.
Everything on social media is some kind of fucking act. Like, you don't care about the starving kids in Africa? No, I don't fucking care.
Not at the current present, like in my immediate moment, because I have no control over that.
Exactly, and then people are kind of like, well, that makes you a bad person. Oh, really? Do you care about the starving kids in Africa? Well, yeah, I post about it. That doesn't do shit.
Yeah, but like, you can't have everybody caring about everything. Everybody's got to care about their shit, like their causes, and work on those things. Because what we're gonna have, everybody's gonna be caring about everything. We're gonna get nowhere.
Exactly.
It's like you gotta pick your departments and you gotta pick your priorities and pick
people try and virtue signal with that. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, you don't care about these kids in Martha's Vineyard being exposed to the. Like, shut the fuck up. Nobody gives a fuck about this.
I'm so happy about Martha's Vineyard.
Oh my God, yeah, the very same people on the left that sit there and scream is like, you see these fucking liberal white women when they've got the illegal immigrants.
Oh my God, did you see the smiles on their faces?
Well, no, it wasn't
so
smiles.
Proud of themselves.
Yes, it wasn't like they were smiling because oh my God,
meanwhile, we're kicking them out after feeding them shit we wouldn't feed our dog.
They made themselves out to be like, wait, Netflix is going to make a documentary and they're all going to be black. They're all going to be black. No white people because Netflix has to get it right.
Yeah.
For 13% of the population that's black, they have to be the majority in all fucking movies now. It's
every
classic
movie.
Representation.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting, that's why I love being uncensored on Rumble, because we can say the shit that we couldn't say on normal social media.
Yeah.
For example, the most racist people I've ever met in my life were black. Every single time. The most racist motherfuckers were black. Yeah, it's true. You see it you go on Instagram and you go look at a black influencer thing and you check the comments. Cracker this, cracker that, white, blah, blah, and it's like, Jesus. Like, oh my God. As a white person, you pull some shit like that. White nationalist. Like, what the fuck? Like, it was like, look, racism is racism. But I love how black liberals.
I think racism is racism.
Yeah,
but
black liberals will sit there and say, "Well, blacks can't be racist because we don't have the power dynamic." It's like, what are you talking about?
Anybody can be racist.
Exactly.
Like, anybody can be racist, and from what I've learned from liberals, everybody is racist. So who cares now?
Exactly.
I mean, that was the other thing. I was like, you can't win. It's like you're racist if you don't like black people. Okay, I get that. But if you do like black people, you're still racist. I'm like, so I guess I'm racist and I'm just going to move on with my life. I mean, I don't know what you want me to do.
I got to go to work, bro. I don't really give a fuck about your color or how bad you feel. Like, that rapper Izzo, that fat cunt, she gets up there with the big old saggy titties and just sits and say, you need to vote because of these oppressive laws. And meanwhile, you've got Iranian women over there getting their faces caved in.
Yeah, it's like if you get to be fat and successful like that and on covers of magazines, because she's not even considered fat. This is morbid obesity that we're talking about. And allegedly she's working on her weight and she's gotten shit for that, which you think would make her realize like, oh, these people don't actually give a shit about my health. They just want me to be fat so I can just be fat for whatever bullshit reasons that, make people feel better about the bad choices that they make.
Yep.
But looks like that's not really the case. But like, if you can be obese and be on the cover of magazines and make millions and millions and millions of dollars, where do I sign up for this oppression? I would love to be fat and making millions.
Cheeseburgers right here, here, down the throat.
Sign me up. I don't have to try.
Ultimately, I don't know what your stance is on abortion, but when people sit there and say these laws that are oppressing us, like, no, they're not oppressing you. They're just not letting you use abortion as a form of birth control. It's all that is, and you don't like that. Because
a lot of women do, and they try to say that no, they don't. It's like I have heard these things from like, I remember I had a friend when I was in high school whose mother was a nurse, and she was talking about there were women who would come in, like the same woman coming in multiple times a year. That's a lifestyle problem.
Oh yeah, that's
a lifestyle problem. How are you allowing this to happen so frequently in your life? Like what? I don't.
Accountability, lack of accountability.
I just don't understand it because it's like I'm not perfect. I haven't been like perfectly careful. And I've never gotten pregnant. I've never gotten an abortion. And it's just like what are you doing? Well, like I just it's like that's and you can't question it. It's like no, that means there's something wrong with someone's life if you are getting pregnant that often. I don't have anything against a woman going and getting an abortion. I really don't care. Because I'm not going to pay for the kid, so why should I have a say in it? Totally agree. Do I think the government should be funding it? No. Why do I think the government should be funding it? It's because Planned Parenthood is making so much money on the back end from big pharma over the body parts that they're selling of the fetuses, etc. So they're making their money. They don't need it from taxpayers.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to talk about this. A lot of people don't even know about this.
Oh yeah.
So no, I'm not really that against abortion. I believe you have a window, but also it's not a form of birth control. It's really like for, you really messed up. Whatever. And the right gets mad at me for this. The left gets mad at me for this because it's not enough for either party to be satisfied. I'm not extreme on abortion. I'm sorry, like it's not really my top concern. I look around at the world today. I would not make anybody like have to bring a child into this world. I don't want to say like force someone to give birth because that's another thing that I'm like that's ridiculous. You can't force. It's like saying we're forcing a tree to grow. It's just like that's the natural result of an uninterrupted birth. Okay. So that's not what I'm saying.
For me, it's like I disagree in some aspects. I don't view Plan B as birth control. A lot of people do. I see that as a preventative.
Because it's like Plan B is not the abortion pill. Plan B is basically like a pill
Hmm.
form of a condom in the sense of it
Yeah.
prevents the egg and the
Hmm.
sperm from ever meeting.
Now, as a woman, I'm interested in hearing your perspective on this. And this is the common point. God, my hand to God, I did not intend on talking about abortion with Jessica Harlow today, but here we are, so we're just gonna go with it. When you hear about the single percentile reasons for abortion, e.g., rape, incest, things such as that.
Yeah.
My question is, what prevents a woman? And I don't mean to sound uncaring here. I'm being genuinely curious here. What prevents a woman who has been raped from going and getting a Plan B immediately?
I've said that. I've said, I mean, if I were to be raped, the very first thing that I would do
Mhm.
is take Plan B. And I'm not a fan of Plan B. I've taken it once in my life, and I've always said I will never take this thing again because it's
bad. It's horrible.
It wreaks havoc on you. You become an emotional wreck like you've never seen. I was a mess. So I was like, I'm never doing this again. But I was also really young and didn't understand that you can't actually get pregnant the entire like month. There's only a certain window that you can get pregnant in, but whatever. I didn't know at the time. But yeah, if I were raped, the very first thing that I would do is take Plan B. And I don't understand why someone wouldn't.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to figure out. Is there a perspective I'm not thinking about on this? I mean,
if we're talking about like really young girls who maybe don't know or they don't know any better, I can understand that, or certain circumstances. But yeah, Plan B.
I think most people know about Plan B by now.
Yeah, that's what I would think. But look, I understand that there's probably a very small percentage of people who don't.
Yeah.
But I'm not. If you're gonna take, I think you should be taking Plan B now. If for whatever reason you didn't take Plan B after being raped or whatever, I'm not gonna be like, don't get an abortion. It's like you didn't choose to be put in this situation. I mean, it's up to you. That's
the one where I disagree with a lot of Republicans on, because it's like, look, there's a difference in somebody willfully going out there and getting pregnant and then saying I don't want it, versus somebody was against their will raped. And it's like, no, they didn't. They weren't irresponsible. They had that decision forced on them. Therefore, I can't agree with that one. And I hate, because this is one of those, like in the Star Trek world, the Kobayashi Maru, there's no way to beat the scenario. It's unbeatable. There's going to be an evil choice no matter what you do. So I think in a lot of these decisions, our mindset is set on, okay, what's the most noble and the good choice to make? In some situations, there isn't one. Literally, a man or a woman rapes somebody else, they get impregnated. That's not their fault. And, I watched an interview with Joe Rogan and the Babylon Bee guy, and he was like, rape does not constitute the murder of a child. It's like, I understand. That's fucked up. But at the same token.
Technically it does. But also, we don't live in a very perfectly moral world. I mean, even if we were to look at nature, and nature does not give a fuck.
No.
So I kind of look to the animal kingdom, because we're all animals at the end of the day. We're just domesticated. Some more than others, but some people are probably the missing link if you believe in evolution. But it's just like there's certain things that there's casualties in war.
Yeah.
And like when people were talking, because there's some people who have been saying about the Martha's Vineyard thing, they're like, oh, they're using these people as political cattle. Both sides are, and that is true. And I do feel bad for like the people who are actually well-intentioned about why they're coming to the United States. I do feel bad for them. But at the same time, there's casualties in war. And unfortunately, I'm not a perfect person. I'm very petty. and so it appeals to me. And I've been hearing that DeSantis sent 50 and they were all scrambling. Mind you, it's their off season. We didn't know where to put them. It's your off season. Your hotels are probably not full, but I know you don't want the riffraff to be dirtying your hotels. Because that's what they think, but they vote for open borders, and they say these people are all wonderful in your neighborhoods. They can't stay here. We don't have the room.
Don't let the brown people move in. No, then the crime
people
goes
don't
in.
understand. Like, these are a lot of very rich white people. They vote things that make them look nice, and they talk about things on Instagram that make them look like really nice, virtuous people. Because it's all about appearances. How the fuck do you think that they made all that money?
Preach.
Smile on their face and a knife ready to go.
You see a lot of this up in New York, I bet.
Sure. Come on. Listen, everybody's full of shit, and everybody's a hypocrite, even and including me. I'm a hypocrite at times.
We all are, yeah.
But like, I agree. I think it's wonderful that he sent 50. They were scrambling, and now I'm hearing he's going to be sending a whole lot more than that, which was my idea. So
to Martha's Vineyard?
Yeah, I heard that he's
Fuck
going to do that, which is what my idea was. I was like, next, send like 1,000 fucking people. And
your
really,
idea is you can get them in. I saw Donald Trump Jr. himself commenting on your shit. I'm like, fuck, atta girl, you making moves, girl. You got the attention of Daddy or Trump Jr. Good for you.
I mean, listen, I'm available for all kinds of ideas. I love. I'm very fucking petty, and I really don't know where to channel this. So, where else better than politics?
Right? No,
that's where it really counts.
That's the game. And now they're trying to sue DeSantis because they're trying to get him for human trafficking.
But I think he had them signing releases, which makes me think
he knew it was coming.
He's covered his bases. You can't fuck with DeSantis. You cannot fuck with DeSantis. That motherfucker knows what he's doing.
When he first came on the scene, I was very skeptical because I didn't want to go the route of Dan Crenshaw. When he first hit the scene, it's like, finally, we got a veteran. We got a dude that's going to stand up. And I like Dan, but we do not agree on a lot of things out there. But he'll come on the show
I
and
don't
we'll
really
talk.
follow him, so I'm not really familiar with him.
He's more, he's definitely different. I see where he comes from on a lot of his issues, but that's not the point. The point being, though, is that when DeSantis first hit the scene, after learning from other political figures that claim to be one thing and then went a different direction, and seeing DeSantis is like, okay, I'm going to take this guy with a grain of salt. We'll just see. Let's go by his actions and his policies. I can tell you right now, DeSantis has not done a single thing that I've disagreed on, and that's rare. The only other person I can compare is Rand Paul.
Yeah.
I love Rand Paul.
I love Rand Paul. I love his father, Ron Paul.
Yeah.
He's like a true, he's been screaming and yelling and talking about medical freedom for like long before all this crap was going on. And I think it's great, but I think DeSantis he's definitely playing chess, not checkers. And I think he definitely sees the bigger picture, which you have to, in order to be like an effective leader, you have to think about all of the possible things that could happen and the ways that they can retaliate. And it's very easy to see how the Democrats will, and they're usually going to go the worst possible way. Yeah. And do the worst possible thing. They don't care. They're out for blood. Yeah. They look for total and complete destruction. And so that's why if you're going to be an effective leader on the right, you have to be ready and willing to crush the other side, because they're looking to completely crush you. It's very
Stop
dirty.
Playing nice.
Yeah, you cannot play nice. We've seen conservatives and Republicans trying to play nice and appease to the other side and continuously lose. And I think that did serve a purpose. I don't think it's like a complete waste, because it's also put a lot on display for the people who have the eyes to see still, despite all the fluoride in our water. So, there's a rhyme and a reason. I do believe things happen for a reason, because I am a little bit woo-woo, like I said. But it's quite the fucking ride. I mean, I don't know. This is like quite a time to be alive.
Who needs the Kardashians when you've got Congress? The congressional Twitter
fuse? I don't watch any reality TV shows. I'm like, how are people actually into this shit? I turn on the news, go on Instagram.
The same reason people
stories.
are
so much better.
Watch Jessica Harlow talk about orgasms. I remember you said something about it. It's like, I'm doing great, y'all. Just had to disappear. I'm still having lots of orgasms. Like, good for you. Good for you.
I don't even know where that came from, but I was a little bit.
No pun intended.
I was a little bit drunk when I made that, but yeah, Hillary Clinton blocked me on Instagram.
Yeah, what the fuck did you do to Hillary? Because Jessica's kind of like, for those that don't know, she's like, I am happy. I am not suicidal. I'm not contemplating suicide, but I just want you all to know Hillary Clinton blocked me.
But I also don't feel like I'm like a threat to her. Like, I don't really talk that much about her.
Yeah,
really.
That's so random.
So it was very interesting. I don't know how I got on the radar. I'm a little scared, but I'm more so proud.
Yeah, I wear that as a badge of honor. The cunt of the West blocked me.
I do. You can't, and listen, you can't make me, have a heart attack or something. Like, I didn't get the jab, so like, you can't pull this shit with me. Yeah. Good luck to you. But like, I didn't say that much about Hillary Clinton really ever. So, and I'm not the type of person who's gonna like go on her Instagram and like write some craziness. I'm not doing that. So,
that's so
I don't
weird.
know.
Good for you, though.
I'm very flattered. But then again, Kim Kardashian has me on restricted. I'm not really sure why, but she does. So I'm on radars somehow.
What did you do to people?
I don't know. My very existence pisses people off sometimes.
I'm seriously trying to sit here and think, what the hell would you do that gets Hillary Clinton to block you and Kardashian to put you on restricted?
I don't know.
Wait, can you tell if somebody puts you on restricted?
Yes, because wanted to comment something on her. She had done this Beyond Meat commercial, and that was like the final straw where I'm like, I need to comment something here. So I went to say something, and
all of a
just
sudden I see
basically
the
called
Greek come out in
bullshit.
you. I literally just saw the Greek. The olive oil was oozing from your pores. Like, I gotta say something. I'm gonna fucking say
I
something.
gotta
This is
fucking say
ridiculous.
something here, okay? So I was just like, I need to say something because I can't control myself sometimes.
Wow.
And I went to say something, and usually, listen, because of the blue check, sometimes you will attract more attention, and people will comment and like and whatever, or like really attack you. It's one of the reasons why I try to avoid leaving comments sometimes. 'Cause I'm just gonna be inundated with notifications from lunatics that I just don't want to deal with. It. It's a waste of my time and energy. But this, I wanted to say something, and I was like, I am not getting any notifications. Like, nobody saw this, nobody, like, nothing. And I went to see, like, maybe I'm just not being notified, and I see like no likes, no anything. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. So obviously I'm a woman and I don't have just one account. So I went on my other account. So I went on my other account and I went to see my comment on there, and I couldn't find it. I could not see it anywhere. And like on that account, like I follow myself, so I would see myself pop up. Nothing. So I was like, this bitch has me on restricted.
That is
I
so
honestly
weird.
am supposed to work for like some kind of high level detective agency or something.
It sounds like it. My God.
But I'm a Scorpio moon, so.
Oh God, here we go. Here we go. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that translates to. What does that mean?
I said it on purpose, but it is true.
Okay. Well, what does Scorpio moon mean?
Oh, we're investigative. We're very like.
No, that's women in general.
Dig.
That's women in general.
No, you should see these amateurs. I know a lot of women, and they can't figure out anything, and they'll be like, "Oh, I met this person, but I don't have their Instagram, or I only know this or that." And I'm like, "Just give it to me. I'll find them in 5 minutes." Like, really? And I do. Like 9.5 times out of 10, I do. I don't know how, but I do.
You said you're dating right now. Are you dating someone or just dating in general?
I'm gonna say dating in general.
Okay. Well, the reason I asked that, that's where I'm going. You're public with your love, or you're private with your love life.
Very.
Why is that? Because I'm not saying it's wrong. I like what you're doing.
Well, lots of reasons. I feel like it's like, what would I get out of sharing that? I feel like the cons way outweigh the pros. Also, I don't date people who are like nobodies. Like, they're not like the random guy at Starbucks. So it's better for everyone if it's just kept very private.
Yeah, I had to learn that lesson the hard way. I got 2 stalkers, like real serious stalkers, that if I posted who I was dating, they would be DMing them from fake accounts. Oh, he's a piece of shit. I had literally just got done making love to this one girl, and she got a DM from a fucker that he's got a small dick, he's uncircumcised, and she just goes, "Who? Has she seen your dick?" Yeah, it's kind of like, I'm not trying to flex here, but I'm like, that's just not true. And then they said I never paid the bills at restaurants.
No,
all kinds of crazy shit. So I was like, you know what? I got to learn my lesson. Your love life, do not post about it.
I yell at everybody I know who has like a significant enough following, and they like start posting, their boyfriends, their girlfriends, and I'm like, what are you doing? Please stop, and don't tag these people. They're tagging people. I'm like, are you serious? Like, you're just opening up and asking for way too, like, it's problems. I've always said you will never know who I'm with until like maybe they die.
Yeah. No, I think it's a smart.
It's not necessary. Unless you know me, you will not know.
I did it the other day by accident because I shared a screenshot of a text that I took because the girlfriend and I were going to Europe for Christmas. I'm taking her to London, Scotland, and then Paris. So, I've worked hard to get where I'm at. I've worked very hard, took a lot of internet beatings and shit like that. But when I posted it, instantly, girls, I thought you were single, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, no, nope. I'm not deleted the post. Like, not dealing with this. Not dealing with this.
It's just so ridiculous. It's also nobody's business. I don't see what the purpose is for why people share things. Like, I share nothing. I don't even understand why people post their children. That's another thing where I'm just like, I would never post any of that. Like, my friends all have kids. I'm like, if I ever post anything with your child, their face will be covered. I will not even tag you so they know whose kid it is. Like, I'm so, like, again, you cannot, like, I think like 10 steps ahead, because I've seen people on the internet be so bizarre. Like, with just me being like so bizarre and so weird that I'm like, I'm not involving other people in that. And like the more you keep private, privacy is power in
Yeah, it
my
is.
my opinion.
Yeah.
Because like, do I want to have, like, if I'm posting the person that I'm dating, do I want to have like all this drama and people getting involved and
Nope.
creating things and then being like arguing about, like, it's
Yep.
just, why would I do that to myself?
That's the truth.
Dating and relationships are hard enough just as they are. Why would I add that layer? It doesn't make any sense. I'm also not the girl who's going to be like posting stupid, sad quotes either. Because that's just like, people, like, if you're clearly talking about somebody, we're all invested by some, just tag them.
That, or when you make a post or you put a story out there that has nothing to do with your relationship, but you like it because, like, no, this is actually really true. And it might be sad. It's like, are you going through some hard times? Like, no, this just is true. I like this.
I know there's like a lot of things that I'm like, I agree with, but like, I just don't I feel like people lack social media etiquette. They'll just put like absolutely anything up there.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so tacky. I've seen girls do it. I've seen men do it. You always know when someone is going through something because it's abundantly obvious. You know what women do? I'm going to tell you what women do.
What do women do?
Women, not only are they going to put quotes, they're going to put a lot more thirst traps up than normal.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The next thing you're going to notice is they're going to change their avatar, like their profile picture. They're going to change it like multiple times in a week.
I didn't know that.
They're going to go from private to public 500 times. They're going to purposefully go private on weekends. They're insane, and they
on weekends.
They don't,
so why? So they're not,
because so that way like they can like protect their privacy so that like so and so doesn't like can't see what they're doing or what they just do ridiculous things. Women are so obnoxiously, stupidly freaking obvious.
Especially that also sounds like a lot of mind games.
That's what they do, and then they want to make themselves look like they're having the best time ever. That's how you know, like, when a woman is acting incredibly different on social media, it means she's going through something.
Right.
The next thing, men do this. I've seen guys do this where they're posting like all these depressing quotes, and then they talk about like loyalty and the real, like, if you have to tell people who you are, a lot,
it defeats the purpose.
You're not convincing anybody, and most of all, you haven't even convinced yourself. So why the fuck should we believe any of it? So it's just, people are insane on Instagram. I don't even know how we got into this subject, but I'm just.
That's the beauty of this podcast.
I know you have a lot of men that probably listen to you, so
we got. I think it's 25% women too.
So if, I mean, I feel like men kind of smell it. But if you see a woman doing that and you were interested in her, now is the perfect time because she is so fucking vulnerable, so desperate.
But that's also a time to where
I think avoid it. But if you're trying to get laid, she's gonna agree to see you because she wants you to take her to dinner so she can take a picture of the meal. Because women do that because they're insane. And they want to show your arm and bonus points if you have a nice watch. They're so stupid. And
you should write a book on this.
I would be hung.
You should write a book on women you're compromising women's power here. You're basically giving away all the secrets.
Because it's so stupid, because I'm like, first of all, it's 2022. Nobody's taking pictures of their food anymore. You look ridiculous. Also,
I disagree
imagine
with
going.
That. I'm sorry.
No,
I sound like a total nut job. I posted a picture the other day. We went to this. So the new girlfriend, she's a foodie. And when I say foodie,
let me pause and ask you a question. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
on your first date, did she pull out her phone on the first date and try to take a picture? See, and do you know how many women do this?
No.
I'm like, you look like you've never seen food before. Put your phone away.
You see, I'll do it for two different.
Listen, I hate all of social media, but I'm on it all the time. I can't.
I know, same. I'll do it for two reasons. One, the first one is I posted a picture of this. We went to this restaurant called Madeline's French Cafe. I've never been there. Apparently, it's been around for a while. But they had these French cuisines and they had these French pastries that I thought this was fucking delicious. Like
and where was this?
This is called a place called Madeline's Cafe here in Texas. I don't know if it's up there in New York, but I mean, you have your. My God, you get it's a melting pot of the world. You got everybody up there. But I was like, I like, to me, it was kind of like, wow, this is a work of art. The way they set up the little tart, it had the fruit, it looked perfect. Like, this is something you see in the movies. And it's like, yeah, I want to take a picture of this because I want to remember this because the girlfriend and I had a really good time. And then the second time is when I have a really good steak from Ruth's Chris. I will, because when they bring it out and it's sizzling, it's like, oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. If it's something that's really exceptional, that's helpful because it's like, because I found places through people posting
Exactly.
things, and
Yes.
like I will share if there's something that's actually exceptional.
Yeah.
But most people are not doing that. Most people are doing it. It's PR.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
It's
Fuck that.
PR.
No. For
And
me,
it's so
like,
stupid.
I
It's like, we
love
know
it.
you eat food, you go to restaurants. It's not that big of a
Hold on, I
fucking
gotta take this
deal.
picture of my chicken tenders. Chicken tenders.
Oh
No,
my God.
when
And then, like,
Ruth's Chris, they
so
bring out my
ridiculous.
porterhouse for 2, and it's sizzling, and I have my glass of wine right there. I'm like, oh, this is what
Yeah.
America is all about.
It's
like,
fine to take
fuck
pictures of
yes.
things like for your own memories. Again,
Yeah.
like you probably take lots of pictures in your relationship, but you're not going to post them on Instagram. They're for you.
Yeah.
Duh.
I broke up with one woman who did not like taking pictures like that. And I told her, like, I have a very bad memory. I want to remember these things. No, I'm serious. Like, I want to remember these things. And even with that, she still didn't want to do it. It's like, all right, we're not going to work out. It's like, it's just, no. It wasn't even the post. I hadn't even posted about her, but it was the same thing of like,
Yeah, you just want to
I
have
need this.
your memories of things.
Yeah, just scroll through the
Yeah.
photos. And she's like, oh, I remember that. Or now we've got a really cool thing that we're doing
Or
now is
what
we
if
have.
one of you dies? You're not going to have a post of the two of you? Like no memories? Come
Exactly.
on. You have to prepare for the death. It might happen.
That took a very dark turn, but I see what you're saying.
I have a
That's a good point. That's
I
a
have a
very dark road
sense
to go
of
down.
humor. I have a
What
very-
if your partner dies? What are you gonna do? You gonna dig up the
I
grave and then do a selfie? Doesn't make sense.
You never know. Or then there's like a birthday post someday.
Or you
I
gotta
don't
take a
know.
picture of
Or
a
you-
schlong and
for
say,
your
look, I used to
close
fuck
friends
this.
or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, don't you want to have, like, you want to have things, but it's
No,
not
I
for
agree.
everyone. Like,
Yeah.
listen, the things I don't post are way more interesting than the things that I do post. I'm
Oh, yeah.
very open about what's going on in my head. I
Yeah.
am completely shut off about literally everything that is actually important to me. Like,
No, I
personally.
totally get that. I mean, you can almost sense that like social media has become therapeutic in a sense as far as like getting out what you're needing to get
Yeah.
out. But I also feel like it's a fake form of therapy because I think what most people by and large are doing is they are trying to get sympathy in a situation to where it's like pitting one versus the other. And I'm guilty of doing this. That's how I realized I was doing it. It's like, I got to stop doing this. Like, this is not healthy. This is not giving you the closure that you need when you're trying to essentially win the popular vote in a relationship or in a situation.
But they
You're
also
opening yourself up to just more bullshit.
Yeah, but they are also trying to do it because it's like there's like a desperateness of like, oh, they're gonna see it or somebody's
Yeah.
gonna see it and they're gonna be like, oh, now I'm gonna change and treat this. Like, no,
Yeah.
no,
Mhm.
like that almost never happens.
Yeah.
Like the only time that would happen is to be like, is this about me? Are you stupid?
Yeah.
Take that shit down and let's have
That
a
or
conversation.
it's
Like,
yeah,
that's
come to
fine.
me. Yeah. Yeah.
But like otherwise, it's just like, what are
Mhm.
you? You're
Exactly.
posting to the air.
That's what people
You
do.
might as well be.
I know
Nobody
what you
has
said.
a journal anymore. Like
The girl I'm talking to
nobody
does.
writes in a journal.
She does, and that's the great. Like she's
Yeah.
opened my mind to new things. Like even the other thing of we have a playlist together, and I don't mean the sense of I made you this mixtape. If we're doing something and a song
That's
comes on
so
that we both
cute.
like,
You
if a
guys
song
have
comes,
you have a playlist.
we have a playlist that we add to together, but it's only for songs that we hear together at a special moment that resonate. It's like, oh, I like this. We have songs that we were out at dinner, something came on. It's like, I like this. I was like, let's put that on the playlist. And then every time we hear it, it reminds me of that
It
restaurant.
takes you back to the
It takes
memory.
you back. And I was like, I
Nice.
like this. Like this brings us. And then I'm totally not even endorsing this. I'm not. There's an app called Paired. I don't know if you've heard about this.
No.
It's literally called Paired. It's a purple little app. And you fill out questions and you share the answers with each other. And you only get to see the answer when you answer the same question. And you have to be completely honest on it. And we did it last night and we're baked out of our brains. Like I love Shell Shock CBD, subtle plug, shellshockcbd.com. And we were high and we were answering this and honestly, and it brought us closer together. We were able to, it's like, hey, we disagreed on this, so let's talk about this. And it opened up these lines of communication. They're like, Jesus, like we never would have had these discussions had we not asked these questions.
And it's
they're
called Paired.
Paired, Paired.
And you answer questions.
And they're not like difficult. They're like simple questions. And here's a cool part. Like you answer what you think your partner's answers would be as well.
Oh.
And it really is like, oh shit, you really better get to know that person. And if you answer it wrong, we go into it with this idea is like, let's not get mad. Let's just say, no, this is why it's not accurate.
Yeah, you approach it with curiosity.
Exactly. And I thought like, this is like,
and it probably really opens up conversations you might normally not have had, and it brings you closer.
Yep.
Oh,
I 100% agree. Yeah.
That's nice. Maybe I'll try that when I'm not afraid of commitment and intimacy.
Aren't we all? Yeah. That's the other thing I've noticed. It's kind of like when you talk to these women or men too, a lot of us carry this baggage into the next relationship. And I've went on dates with women who was like, I've had this done to me in the past. It's like, no,
don't ever.
I will tell them, it's like, those are your issues.
I gotta teach everybody how to do everything. This is just like my lot in life. You don't tell. I don't care what's happened to you, and not that I don't care, but like, don't lead with that. It's so unattractive. Because you can always tell when somebody's been through things by the way that they react to certain things. And you're like, oh, does this happen to you before? Like, why are you traumatized? Mm-hmm. It's just like, so you haven't let that go yet. You haven't processed it. You're not. You've not evolved.
And it doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that you are not over it. You should not be in the dating world right now, because I had this one girl who was just like, I have this trauma response. It's like, well, I'm going to be honest with you. It's like, that's your problem. That's not my problem. I have my own life that I'm worried about. I don't need your bullshit. So if you don't come to the table handling your bullshit, just like with a man, like
you have to take accountability.
Yeah, I have women that tell me all the time.
You can be understanding of another person, like
exactly.
Because people are like, oh, what do I do about having trust issues? I'm like, you having trust issues is your problem.
Exactly.
It's nobody's responsibility. Except your own. They could be understanding and be like, this person has trust. They don't have to go, like, don't expect people to go above and beyond.
Right, yeah. Or don't expect it. And that's the other thing, like in any new relationship, like the trust it's earned. For me, it's kind of like even in the military, you get a new soldier, it's like you come with a line of credit. It's like, you may have fucked up over there, but you got a fresh start with me. If you're not fucking up, you're good. I'm not going to prejudge you. So that's to me, it's like, that's what I like. You learn from each relationship that you go through. I had a vet friend call me last night. I'm not going to mention her name, but she texted me. I'm on the couch with my girlfriend answering the questions, and I get a text like, John, I'm struggling. And I told my girlfriend, I was like, look, this is who it is. This is what, it's nothing like that. And I was like, but I need to call her. She's reaching out. So we talked for like an hour. Okay. And it was very interesting to hear what she is going through, because she's overwhelmed with a certain part of her life, that's school, work, and she's compromising her beliefs in the dating world because she just wants to be loved, wants to have somebody to make up for that. I told her, I was like, you need to address the friction point. Anytime you compromise
your beliefs, you will lose what you are compromising for.
Exactly.
Period.
I told her, it's like, if you're not addressing the friction point, then you're only going to continue compromising over here.
And then the only person you have to blame is really you. And that's why we resent other people. It's because it's like, well, I did this, that, and the third that you didn't realize, because this person was like, might not even be any, like,
bingo,
not on their minds. They're not aware of it.
Yep.
And it's really, you're pissed at yourself. And
it's not, I want to be clear. It's not just women that do this. The women that I've talked to in the past, men do this too.
Does this.
But men do this. But I think men do it in a different manner for a different reason. Men do it to show vulnerability, to get that woman to come into the trap and be that nurturer. I can fix him just so he can fuck her using that. Women do it because they're wanting someone to help heal them.
Yes, women do it they want someone to help heal them and to fill the void that they're refusing to fill for themselves.
Yeah.
But men will do it. Men kind of do it in more of a narcissistic way, where they use pity. That's why I
want you to pity fuck me. Yeah.
They want pity because they know that, like, if a person is a good person, they will pity them. Pity is a very powerful
it is.
emotion.
Men know how to use that for women, because women are very compassionate.
Very well. It works on women very well. We're wired that way. That's why I don't feel sorry for men anymore. I don't feel sorry for anybody, but I really don't feel sorry for men. It's just like up to a point, like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, and that's where it's done.
Yeah.
Like, I had an ex who was like saying that he was suicidal all the time. Like, and I was
People
like,
use
then
that.
I finally asked, and I was concerned, right? And I was like, this motherfucker is roping me in on pity, and like, I knew it was happening. And then I was like, he was saying like, oh, I'm just so depressed and I wanted to kill myself last night or whatever. And I was just like, let me ask you a question. How long have you been suicidal for? And like, how long have you been having these thoughts for? And he was like, 10 years. I was like, 10 years? Nobody's suicidal for that. You're looking for attention.
Yeah.
Nobody is suicidal for 10 years.
That's a bold thing to say, but you're right. Nobody's suicidal. You would have done it.
Nobody's suicidal for 10 years. You would have done it already.
For that long, you would have done it.
Yeah. It's not like you're telling me like, oh, it's been like the last 6 months, maybe a year. Then I could be like, okay, so like what happened? And something
That's
set
because
it off.
I want to unpack this real quick, because you make a really great point here. There is a spectrum of suicide that a lot of people don't want to talk about. So for me, it's the people that, like you just said, 10 years for suicidal. No, you're not suicidal. You're using suicide for attention seeker. Now, there are some people that do reach out for help that are partially suicidal because the thoughts are there and they're contemplating it. They need to reach out. The ones that are really suicidal,
they just
commit suicide. They kill themselves.
What happens? what happens with people who commit suicide? 9 times out of 10, it's like, oh my God, we had no idea.
Bingo. And you
oh my God, we had no idea.
And here's the thing that other people need to realize. The victims of these suicides, the people that blame themselves, you can't. It had nothing to do with you. You should not feel guilty. That person made a choice. Now, I'm not trying to go into like whether it was justified. No, I get it. Mental pain, mental anguish, who knows?
Yeah,
I
look,
recently
I'm not
just
judging
lost a friend.
people who feel suicidal.
Yeah.
That's
No, not
like,
at all. Not
if
at all.
you're genuinely feeling that way.
Literally just happened to a friend of mine, and greatest guy, Neil from Ready Gunner. I don't know if you know him. He's big in the veteran community, big in the 2A community. You know, you look at someone like Neil, like, and I loved him. Like, Neil was a good man. Neil, ex-Army Ranger, multiple deployments, very beautiful wife, 6 kids. You would think he had the perfect life, but he killed himself. And this was like maybe a week, 2 weeks ago, and it hit the veteran community like, what the fuck just happened? But it's like, how are we still shocked by this? It's the people, and I'm not trying to make it about that. It's just, it's kind of like the scars, the worst scars, they're under the water. You ain't never going to see.
People keep them to themselves.
I watched the video last night. I posted it on my Instagram. You should go watch it. And I saw it on TikTok, and it was this girl saying, who do you call when you're at your lowest, you need somebody? And it was a woman. And then men answered, it's like, nobody. Right. I don't call anybody. I can't. Because if I do, they'll use it against me. I don't feel like I can be that vulnerable with anybody else in this world to where I'm sitting there with a gun in my fucking mouth that I actually feel I can call some. Men aren't programmed like that. We're not built like that.
I'm not even programmed that way.
So when people say, why didn't you reach out?
So no,
I get why they didn't reach out. Like there have been 1 or 2 times where like I'm really down, not suicide, but like I'll call my buddy P and say, P, I just got a vent, bro. I got a vent. He's like, yeah, come on, let's do it. But there's just some people that they feel like the demons they have inside are so judgmental. People will judge them so hard for it. It's like, I could never let this out because if I do, they'll think I'm a piece of shit. But here's the crazy part. The thing that I've learned in these 38 years I've been on this earth, there isn't a single fucking feeling, action, or anything that you have thought or committed that nobody else has.
Correct.
Like, you're going to find out you're so common.
That's what depression does to you, because it's like, it's really your ego going like out of control and creating this story and telling you like, it makes you feel like you are the only person on earth. No one will ever understand you. And it kind of keeps you in that fear loop and that negative loop. Because it's also trying to keep you safe. Because again, you're like, well, if you open up, well, then you're opening up yourself to vulnerability, and
but isn't it kind of foolish if you think about it? Because the dichotomy you just described, the dichotomy you just described, though, it's like, okay, so if I tell everybody, they're going to think this about me, or I'm going to kill myself. Well, let's look at these 2 choices here. Which one's really the worst? Killing yourself is the worst.
Yeah, I would assume.
Yeah, I would assume. But no, you're 100% right on that. So I want to go back to the attention-seeking thing of what you talk about on Instagram. There's just so much that I feel like social media as a whole has become like this massive, and again, I'm guilty of this, but when I see people do these relationship dumps.
Everybody does it. Nobody's perfect, especially online. Nobody's perfect. We all do ridiculous shit.
That's the thing that aggravates the shit out of me. It's like these fucking influencers, they go out there and they try and act like they're professional or perfect. It's like, look, I'll tell you right now, I've watched porn. I watch porn still. I jerk off. I don't give a fuck. It's like, that's who I am. I say some really offensive shit, but it's these people that live in these glass houses I have no respect for. All these fucking influencers that sit there and they bang this drum, especially in the conservative sphere.
Yes, they do it there too.
Oh my God. I know. I got shit on Graham Allen. I got shit on all these motherfuckers. Like, you want to sit there.
Can I say something? Because like, let's go back to the abortion topic. You hear all of these conservatives, right, that they're all so pro-life. As soon as the stripper gets pregnant, believe me, no, they are not. If they are married, no, they are not. They will throw you down the stairs so fucking fast. Like,
you're right. You're 100% right, because I know people, again, these blue checks. Now, I know all these motherfuckers.
Absolutely, of course, there's the outliers, but by and large, you would be surprised. They are not. The stripper gets pregnant, and they do see the strippers.
Oh yeah, there are so many military influencers.
Excuse me, the OnlyFans girls now.
Oh my God, yeah.
Look, I don't knock the hustle. Why not? If you can be nice to men,
are you going to do an OnlyFans?
listen, if I were to do an OnlyFans, my mother's been pressuring me, honestly, to be very honest with you, because
shut the fuck up. Your mom's pressuring you to do an OnlyFans?
Like, I don't want to say pressuring, but
Jessica, we gotta pay the rent. Show the titties. Show the titties.
No, listen, let me explain to you what it happened.
I think this does need some explanation. Your mom is pressuring you to do OnlyFans? What the fuck?
It's not as bad as it sounds. Listen to what happened.
It sounds pretty bad. There's no way to justify this, Jessica.
No, there's a lot of ways
it's
to
in the
justify.
most loving way possible. She's very supportive. It doesn't fucking matter.
Can I explain?
Go ahead. Can I finish?
So, that's what he said. So anyway, listen. So she had come across the freaking New York Post, or somebody came across this article from that Cash Me Outside girl. And that Cash Me Outside girl made like 52 million or whatever off of OnlyFans in like a year or something.
Yep.
So my mother said, I saw this freaking article, and you mean to tell me you can't make a couple million? What's the big fucking deal? She goes, you show people your tits for free. She goes, like, meaning like in my dating life or whatever. She's like,
it's onesies and twosies, not millions, Mom.
But she was like, she's like, listen, she's like, who cares? She's like, I'm not saying do full blown porn or whatever. I was like, listen, Mom. I was like, I wish I was raised differently, where I could be nice to men for money. I just don't have it in me. I just don't have it in me. If I were to have an OnlyFans, I would be only to be mean, because it's honest.
Some men get off on that, though.
I
you
know
could totally do that. You're already the dominatrix. You're already do it.
I've done that before. I've done a little bit of that, but men are very crazy, and they get very attached, and they think that it's a relationship, and it's like,
well, hold on. Let's go. That goes two ways there, girl. Let's not even pretend that women aren't like that on steroids.
It's different when like women aren't paying men. If there's a transaction, it's
are
not
you kidding
real.
me?
Women are paying men to date them?
Yes, or on OnlyFans.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, what are you talking about then?
I'm not saying that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like men will sometimes think that they actually have a full blown like relationship with you. Like I've done things like with my feet before because it's the most hilarious thing that I could ever imagine.
Wait, you've done things like feet pics?
Yes,
I don't get this.
I'm like, why not? I don't get it either, but whatever. What's it to me?
Wait, so
like
feetfinder.com?
No, like it's been people, they've come into my DMs and they harass me for pictures of my feet, and finally I was like, whatever. And it was the most fun I ever had. Did you at least get
money for it?
Of course.
Good,
That's why I'm not going to
secure the bag. Secure the bag.
Yeah, but like, and I was mean about it and very insulting, and it was actually like, but like, don't ask me to be nice to you. Don't ask me to be nice to you. That's degrading.
Here's like, the picture, little shit. That's $100. Yes, ma'am.
It was exactly like that, and they liked it, and it was great. But then they actually thought, they were like, well, in our relationship, why didn't you? It's like, why didn't I speak to you? Where was the money to speak to you? Everything is about money to you. It's like, that was the point, sir.
Oh my God.
That was the point, sir. So I can't deal with people. I really hate people. I should have as little involvement with other human beings as humanly possible.
I see your mom's point though, but I was automatically going down the road like, show your tits to a lot of people, but do good with that money.
No, like she meant do good for her. So, charity begins at home.
Oh my God.
It's my mother's motto.
Oh my God. Your mom's a very interesting person, clearly. Like,
oh my God. She is one of those people where it's like, I can't even, like, when people say, oh, I want to meet your mom. And I'm like, oh,
no, you don't. No, you don't.
You do not. But like, people love her because she's so unfiltered.
Raw, honest, yeah.
She's so unfiltered. You're going to get the truth from her.
Well,
like
a typical Greek mom. Like a typical Greek mom.
But she doesn't look like a typical Greek mom, and I can't bring her anywhere. Like, I'll take her out shopping or something, and she'll be walking through expensive stores and be like, this shit, like out loud, like, get the fuck out of here. What do you think? I'm sick? I got the money. I could buy this right now.
But Jessica, I gotta say this, and this is gonna hurt your feelings. Jessica, this is gonna hurt your feelings. How old are you?
32.
All right, I gotta let you in a little something.
What?
That's you in the future.
That's me now. What are you talking about?
At least you admit it. And like, Jessica, that's you. That's you in the future. Because I look at my dad and how he was. I was like, I'll never be like my dad. Did you get over like, get off my fucking lawn? It's like, oh my God.
We're very different. But like, I mean, I do have like attitude in me. But I'm not like, listen, I was raised not like other people. They have their parents are like, oh, be like your mom, be like your dad. My mother talked to me very young, and she was like, listen, don't be like your fucking mother. Whatever you see me doing, do the opposite. And I've pretty much been that way my whole life. It's like my mother was, but there are similarities, of course.
Right.
You can't avoid it completely.
No, I mean,
But no,
the acorn
my
doesn't fall
mother's
far
very
from the tree.
like
It's true.
rough around the edges. I'm way more like polished, and I compose myself a lot better than she does. She is not.
But I'm still raw shit on the inside.
Yes, I am, but I'm not. It depends. I know how to word things a little bit better than my mother does. My mother does not give a fuck for anything.
Good, because I call it the 3 F's of life. Unless they feed, fuck, or finance you, why should you give a fuck what they think or say about you?
I do agree that though. With that, that is my thing. But
when you can
whatever.
live your life like that, you're gonna find that you're gonna be so much more happy and honest with yourself. Because like I was saying before, I know so many of these veteran blue check motherfuckers on social media. They got a lot of skeletons. And it's like, but they sit there and they pretend on social media like they're this, that, and the other. I know one that's like into freaking
everyone.
I know one that's closeted.
Everyone.
Yeah, I know a major veteran influencer that's closeted, and it's like,
oh really?
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, why don't you just come out? Nobody's gonna fucking care. I mean, if they do, who gives a shit?
You know, see, this is the thing. Like the conservatives kind of lose a lot in a way because they try to be like way too buttoned up, way too freaking square, and it's like this is not the same Republican Party of like 1980 and 1990.
Thank you. You gotta progress.
Where it was like all of these like old rich white men. Right now, a lot of the people who consider themselves Republican or at least just vote red, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are ex-Democrats.
Yeah,
they're part of the communities and people who were like, we want freedom of speech, we want freedom of expression.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of artists, because those are the people, creative types.
Yeah.
They can't just be like censored. So it's a very different crowd now. And that's why like I've gone to some conservative events and I'm just like, why are we sitting here talking about abortion? Nobody here really cares. Like that's not like the number one issue right now.
Yeah.
In terms of like, if you wanted to talk about abortion with me in like 2015, wonderful, we could talk about it. But in 2022, when people can't even afford to put food on the table in a lot of places, there's people who can't afford to get to work because of the price of gas. So they're like, I have to get to work, but I can't afford to drive myself there, and I need to drive myself there. And so now I'm like in this catch-22 of like,
where you're fiscally unable.
Yeah. So these people, like, abortion is not even in the top 50 of our freaking issues right now, to be very honest. I'm not saying it's a wonderful thing. I'm not saying we should celebrate abortion. I think it's disgusting the way that it's being marketed.
But I think even the
really
situation
towards, like,
should
young
have,
girls. As like
even that situation should make you be more a little cautious. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this though. No, we're gonna take some questions from the Rumble chat because I got a lot of dudes that want to ask you some questions.
Oh God.
No, nothing inappropriate, or maybe we will. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. You already opened the feet in the OnlyFans door, so it's game on at this point. Rumble chat. I'm taking your questions, but I do want to ask you this though. As a woman in contemporary times, when you are looking to date a man, when you're in the dating scene, what are the qualities that you're actually looking for? And be honest here.
Ideally, a pacemaker.
A pacemaker? What do you mean?
Ideally, like he should have something wrong with his heart if he's like 80 years old and has
I
like
was
a
hoping
lot
that's
of
not
money.
what you meant. I was really hoping that's not what you meant.
That's always my favorite answer. I'm kidding. But like listen, would it be the worst thing in the world if like I found the kind of love that Anna Nicole Smith found with that Howard Marshall or whoever the hell his name was?
You're gonna fuck an 80-year-old dude. You're gonna fuck a 90-year-old dude.
Absolutely. Give me some champagne, dim the lights. We've already probably like all the same movies and music anyway.
I fucking love this. I love it. Go on.
I haven't, but I'm not saying I would.
Go on.
I mean, I like to sleep early. He's going to want the early bird special. Like, it all works. It really, like, I'm supposed to be with an old man. I just don't. Anyway.
Clearly, this is not the woman I should be talking to on dating advice for men. This is totally off subject.
Okay, so that's my joke of an answer. That's like, all jokes have some truth to them, so whatever. But what do I look for in a man? Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
They have to be normal. They have to be normal in the head, and they have to be very, like, I like men who are masculine. They like to lead. They're not betas, basically. Like I like men who they know their role and they know my role, and that's that, and it's very clear. And then obviously like all the bullshit of like great sense of humor and whatever. Like they have to be good people. Good people, good head on their shoulders. They have to be a little bit busy, because I've dated guys who have like way too much time on their hands, and it's like, don't you have somewhere to be? Like go make money, go to the gym.
Clingy, right?
Yeah, I'm like, go to the gym, go make money. Like why do you have so much time? I don't like that.
I've seen that with women, and I'm not saying it's just them. I've seen it's men too.
I mean,
it's just
I have,
when you're
I have
not
all
when you're
the
not
time
pursuing
in the world, but
when you're not
but
pursuing
like,
something worth a shit, that's when you tend to come off as more clingy. You become very codependent, which is not healthy in a relationship. You've got to maintain your own independence and the things that you love. Because I still get busted for this, but I don't feel like I love tango. I love Argentinian tango. I think it's a sexy romantic dance.
I've seen you post things like that. I think recently, right? That was you.
I've been doing it for like 2 years, but it's it's the most hardest dance there is. But
everybody needs a hobby.
Exactly. So
everybody needs a hobby.
Oh, I agree. But when I told my current girlfriend, I told her, it's like, look, I still do fencing, I still do tango, I still do I still go to the gym every day, and she does the gym too, which I really love that. But I told her, it's like, when we're together, I'm not pushing pause on these hobbies. These take priority because this is who I am.
You have to maintain a sense of self, because a lot of the times what happens with people is they become so enmeshed that it's like eventually you kind of like are like, wait a minute, this isn't even the person that I agreed to like. Who
or
is
you
this
lose
person?
yourself. You lose yourself in that relationship.
You lose yourself, and it's just not healthy. It's so much better for everybody to just maintain that sense of self, and you have to give like some space so that when you come together, you have things to talk about, and you also have time to like miss each other a bit.
Yeah.
I think that's why with the lockdowns, I think it destroyed so many relationships.
Yeah.
Because we weren't put on this earth to be with anybody 24/7.
I agree.
You need to have some distance. Listen, nobody is that great 24/7.
No.
Like sometimes I don't want to deal with myself 24/7. Like let alone like, and I'm fantastic. I love my own company. I'm an only child. I love being alone, but like, it's just not natural. You have to maintain a sense of self, but look, I like men who are like ambitious and they have goals and they have things that they want to do and they're busy and they do their thing and they vote red.
I can see that. That's the one commonality I see in every single woman out there.
That's my first question. I'm like, what do you think about Dr. Fauci? What do you think about Bill Gates? And who did you vote for? Those are my first questions. Back in the day, people used to be like, oh, what do they do for a living? I'm like, I never even asked that. I'm just like, I assume they're figuring it out.
I tell most of these dudes, I have a guy that's a friend of mine, and he's very beta. He's not, but that's because of his upbringing. He was raised by a single mom, very passive. I was raised by a single mom, but I had the army to grow me the fuck up. Yeah. He didn't. But he was telling me, it's like, John's like, I'm not good with women. What should I be doing? I was like, number one, get to the gym. You look like a fat slob. Women aren't into that. And if she is into that, that's not the woman you want to be with. And you wouldn't want that in a woman either, because sexual attraction is a key indicator. Number two, I was like, here's the biggest thing that turns women on.
You have to always keep yourself up. You always have to.
Even when you get married, I was like, it doesn't stop.
Because also, think about it this way. Most relationships don't last forever.
No.
So you could be dumped or want to break up with somebody at any time. You want to go back into the dating scene
with a six pack.
You don't want to be embarrassed of presenting yourself. You want to feel like, okay, I have a shot here. You know, that's why like women hate when I say this, but if you've had children, no, you have to get your body back.
Oh, that's true.
You have to. I don't want to hear this, but I have. Dudes don't want to admit it, and women get mad at me for saying this, but no, you cannot look like different by that much. Everybody's going to change over the years. Everybody's going to look like, that's what age does. It's unfortunate, but you can't be fat and just give up after you
especially if you're wanting a guy to come into your life and you've got one or two kids. It's not going to happen.
I learned that from my mother. My mother had me and she got into like the best shape of her life. Like she dropped weight so freaking fast, but you have to keep yourself up. You have to, for the health of the relationship, and also just in case the relationship doesn't go so well. Yeah. You have to look good. You have to keep that going. It's very important.
It is on both sides of this. It's not just the women, it's also the men. But the one thing that I've seen women want the most that I think a lot of men fail to offer or at least pursue is ambition. They have no ambition. I could never see myself being with somebody that has no ambition. They're just fine doing a 9 to 5. It's like, I'm okay making minimum wage. Like, no, absolutely not, because I want to go places. I want to do things. If you're not ambitious, are you going to help push me? Because I doubt it. If you can't even push yourself, how are you going to push me? So I think a lot of men, they don't really have a lot of things going on in their lives. But here's the other side of that coin, though. Women want men to have I want him to have 6 figures, 6'2", nice body, great person, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll sit there and I'll ask him, like, what do you bring to the table outside of your appetite? Sex? Okay, I can get that from anywhere, including myself. What do you bring to the table that makes you valuable to me as a man? And a lot of these women are kind of like, oh. I was like, yeah, absolutely. What makes you so valuable? Do you have a great personality?
See, I don't give a shit about heights. I don't give a shit about what they look like. I don't care about anything. For me, it's if there's a connection, there's a connection. If there isn't, there isn't. That's like the starting off point. Everything else is kind of a bonus. Of course, you don't want to date somebody who's broke. You just don't want to do that because it's just it's not going to be fun, especially a woman dating a guy. Like it's just the dynamic is going to be all over the place. But you know, like these girls who are like, oh, I want him to have a 6-pack and he needs to be at least 6 feet tall and he needs to make this much money and he needs to have all. I'm like, you are so limiting. You're like, who are you looking for? Jesus Christ.
It's less than 1% of the men in this country.
Because there's always going to be something like you think that like all of these things are like all of the things that you want, but there's also going to be a lot of things that you don't want. And everybody like, I think it's more important to know what you really don't want and really don't want to tolerate, like your real true deal breakers, than it is to have all of these prerequisites of everything they must have. Like there's a lot of like, these are the musts, these are the would be nice, and these are the absolute no. Yeah. And you learn that over time.
I agree. Well,
and those lists might change like throughout your life. And I mean,
your priorities change as you go. Like when you're younger, you just want to party, drink, fucking all this stuff. When you get older, it's like, okay, now I'm more career focused.
There's times where I've seen guys that I'm just like, oh, if I was 18 right now, I would really be into this guy. But I'm like, I have a brain now, and I know that that's not.
Red Hulk in the chat says Jesus was poor. Are you saying you're Jesus? I mean, you're kind of like leaving out one half of that statement.
Jesus could make money and get around. First of all, he had apostles, so like everything's taken care of. Okay, so Jesus found the way. Okay.
I just like it. Jesus was poor, so you're saying you're Jesus. Well, I'm poor, but I'm not Jesus. That's not the same thing. Jess, we got to wrap it up. It's almost 2 hours. I want to say thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. I found Jessica through political commentary, stuff like that. I love what she stands for. She's not afraid to speak her mind on shit, which we need more of. Where can everybody find you on social media?
I wish I could shut up more often.
Fuck no, don't shut up.
I can't help my damn self. If I think something, I have to say it. It's like my thing. But
say it.
You can find me at Jessica Harlow on Instagram, and literally anything else I do will be on there. So
I imagine your YouTube where you used to do makeup tutorials.
I don't bring up YouTube. That's like such a sore subject for me. I hated that.
I didn't know.
I had such an issue with them from way prior to like me even being a mouth. Like they so screwed me. Don't get me started. Let's end this right here because this is a sore subject for me. I hate YouTube.
Let's do an episode 2 then. I'd love to bring you back and talk about that if you're okay with that.
I'll think about it.
All right. Okay. All right, Jessica Harlow, big thank you for tuning in today, Jessica.
Thank you for coming on the show. This was such a great conversation.
It was. It really was. I knew it would be because I had a feeling like your personality is a lot like mine. Like you love to fucking talk and you say shit that's actually honest and real. That's rare.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Likewise.
A big thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, that completes it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in today to the All American Savage Show podcast. Don't forget this episode is brought to you by shellshockcbd.com. Make sure if you want to get a free mug, you use code MUG for orders on $50 or more. I'm trying to navigate the freaking, the damn streamline that I got coming on. We're still live. But anyway, shellshockcbd.com. Orders over $50 or more, use code MUG. Get a free mug. You want it signed and autographed? We can do it. We can make that happen. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for all your love and support. You guys are wonderful. And if you really want to help us out, share the podcast, share the episode, tag your friends. This is on Rumble, and we upload this after to iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, you name it. Here it is. So... And then you have these assholes in the chat, like the man's 316 says that was painful. No, it's a great conversation. You're just a fucking loser. Like, that was undoubtedly a great conversation, and you're so focused on this other shit. You don't sound like much of a man. I'll probably just ban you right after this. Anyway, talk to you later. Thank you for being here. You guys have a wonderful day, and as always,